So my name is Wesley Sánchez. I am sheltered at Tyler, Texas, and I'm 25 years old.
With everything that has been going on, how are you doing?
Um, you know, I'm doing pretty well. I would say that I'm doing better than a lot of people. So yeah, but I'm doing pretty well.
Um, because of the situation that's going on, like, what do you think about it?
Um, wow, I think it's been a huge process of like adapting to many new things, and I think that none of us were really ready for something like this. But I definitely think that it's just been a huge thing about adapting to like new circumstances, because it affects us all, in terms of like jobs, in terms of what we can and cannot do, or where we can go, where we can't go. So I think for all of us, it's just mostly about the adaptation part.
So, how has it like affected you personally, like job related or
Well, I'm a teacher, so I teach high school here, where I'm located in Tyler. Uh, for us, it was kind of interesting because this all started like being a bigger issue once I went off for spring break. So there was, of course, like rumors. It was like mid March, early March, I think, and we went off for our week of spring break, which we have. And I actually was at California in the time because I was visiting some friends from one of the programs that I was able to go to. And I was just there for a couple of days, and then I had to actually change my flight for an earlier date because airports are starting to shut down and all those things. So I had to like cut my trip short and then come back. I had to quarantine for 14 days, to make sure that I didn't catch it like at the airport. And then at that point, really, we were supposed to start school back on Monday. That didn't happen, of course, because everything was starting to shut down. We went and we did like a week of like mitigation period. That mitigation was basically a week where we were adjusting in a sense to what was going to be happening for the future. We didn't know. We were just it was I feel like it was more like a week to just see, hey, let's see if this is really going to be a problem for us or not. So after that, we of course realized that it was a problem, and after that, we started the process of like distance learning, and that was just like a whole monster within itself.
so how would you describe teaching at a distance? Like,
Um, it's not my favorite thing to do. I could definitely point out really good things. Um, but at the same time, from like a social justice perspective, I definitely am against it because, like, for example, the good things for me are just like, oh, I don't have to wake up so early in the morning, and I'm an evening person, not a morning person. So, but that's like a selfish reason. Nevertheless, again, from like that social justice perspective, I work at a low income school, so majority of my kids don't have resources for many things. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but my school is about like a 90 something percent, maybe I think reaching 90, of kids that are low socioeconomic status. So that is concerning, and distance learning wasn't, in my opinion, as effective just because so many kids were at a disadvantage. And all the school districts really had to work there and do their best. And I really applaud my school district because they went out of their way to just ensure that all the kids were able to. And it got to a point where even like I had to go physically to my students' houses and deliver packets for them so that they could do it. Because I have students that live in areas where they don't have access to Wi Fi, or they simply didn't have a computer to be able to do their assignments, or they were trying to work with what they had, which was their phone, and the phone really isn't as effective in many senses as a computer. So that was just, it was just a lot. It was just really a lot, honestly.
I understand that you're Puerto Rican,
Yes.
and I just want to know, were you here during the Hurricane Maria?
Yes, I was. I was actually a student at Colegio during that time. Um, yeah, it was quite. Yeah, I was there. Do you have more questions?
Okay, so with everything that's been going on, right? do you see a connection between what we went through after the hurricane and what we are going through right now, especially you that are like in the school system and you were in the like in the university and now you're teaching? It's like, can you see a connection
For
between?
sure. Yeah, definitely. I can say yes. Right now, what's interesting is that I'm also a student because I'm actually doing my master's currently at Texas A&M University. And thankfully, my master's was completely online. So I was able to do it, and really doing this online thing. And because of COVID, that didn't change, but my job did. I think that there is a big connection in many senses, and I think it goes back to what I was saying at the beginning about just being in a process of current constant adaptation. When I was in Puerto Rico for Maria, like I was in Orocovis, Puerto Rico, and um, it was just interesting in the sense that I couldn't like leave my house because there were trees that were on the road and stuff like that. So it was like a more of a physical barrier. Um, and even though in Puerto Rico where I was, we all started to start cleaning the roads and chopping off trees and just making our way to wherever we needed to go. Uh, and I was one of the ones that lost his house and all that. So my process of adaptation was finding a place to live. Not being able to contact my mom because we didn't have signal in Orocovis for like more than 2 months. So it was just like a huge process of adaptation for me. Also, I was working at Church's Chicken at the time, and I remember like having to work extra hours. Um, I was supposed to be a part time, but I was working basically at the full time because the demand was so much that they just needed us. So, in that sense, it is a little bit different. But I see the a lot of similarity in just like adapting to whatever is new. In that case, I had so many things that I had to do differently, but I was able to. Versus now, I have to do stuff, but I have to do them from home. I have to limit my time, like I'm going outside and wherever. I'm super OCD, so I have like Lysol wipes like crazy, and every time I do groceries, like I have to wipe down every single thing just because of my OCD. Um, but yeah, it's just a process of adaptation. I will say that I feel like I'm taking it a little bit better having lived through Hurricane Maria, because I feel like that experience of adaptation is just gonna be with me. It marked me so much of everything I had to adjust in my life to survive. Because at that point, really in Puerto Rico, it was about surviving. It wasn't about luxury. It wasn't about anything else. It was about surviving. And I feel like in that sense, my survival instinct is something that's kicking in right now. In the sense that I limit myself. If I have to wear a mask, heck, I'll wear it. It doesn't. I don't mind it, but I feel like having that experience has helped me adjust to it.
Um, was it difficult for you to find food, water, or everything like you needed during
Um,
this situation?
Yes. So interestingly enough, when I was in California again for like my spring break, it was interesting because over there, I wanted to get back to Tyler because I was like, okay, I need to go do groceries. And I was thinking about the mentality. It was strange because I was thinking the mentality of a hurricane. You prepare, you buy a lot of canned stuff, you just make sure that you have like water and stuff like that. So when I was in California, one of the things that was stressing me out so much was the fact that I wasn't at home to do groceries, um, and to buy the things that I needed. And that's why I actually ended up getting another flight for like a day earlier. But when I went to California, I went to like Target and I tried to find Lysol wipes because that was one of the things that and I was lucky that I found like one thing, and I took it with me like in my luggage. So when I got back, it was a struggle. I didn't find toilet paper for whatever reason. I didn't find napkins or papel toalla. What do you call them?
The house?
Paper towels. Thank you. So I didn't find that either. There was nothing about like alcohol, wipes, nothing you could find here. In terms of food, food was a struggle with, especially with meat. It was a huge struggle because I would go to the supermarket and they were limiting like one per family. But when I got back from California, there was nothing meat available. So luckily, I have like I can eat vegetarian meat. And my friend is vegetarian, so I know her options. And I saw vegetarian meat at the supermarket, so I had to like adjust again. And I just bought like vegetarian meat. And before I had gone to California, I had like some chicken and stuff like that. And because I live alone, it was like, I'm gonna be fine. Yeah.
So Wesley, like lastly, is there anything you want people to know about the situation?
Wow. I feel like I should have thought about this before. I don't know. I feel like, honestly, I have conversations about this with my students. I've had conversations about this with my family, with my friends, and I feel like the at least from my perspective, it's just like, we're gonna get through this. So I feel like one of the biggest things is don't pay attention to what you're not able to do now. Pay attention to what you can do. In this case, at this point in my life, I was dying to go to Puerto Rico. Teachers, I'm in summer vacation, and I wanted to go, but I'm trying to soothe myself with the fact that, hey, I'm not going now, but it's for my safety and for the safety of the people I love in Puerto Rico. Like if I go, I could risk just being a carrier. So I'm focusing on just like staying positive and keeping that mentality, this is just something that's temporary. And as long as we do as well as we can to protect ourselves, to take care of ourselves, then everything will be fine. We just need to be like patient, because I definitely think that as of right now, it's about patience, and it's about trying not to stress. And I get like anxiety and stress, and like it's so bad. But I think that that's just what's keeping me sane, in all honesty. Just trying to release that stress and enjoying things that normally, if I would have been going to Puerto Rico, if I would have been at work, I wouldn't be able to do. For me, a huge part has been like exercising, and just like I've been in school, so I've been also able to keep myself busy with my online classes and stuff like that. So, and I also started learning a third language. So it's a matter of, like, I think, perspective. One of the biggest things is that it's just, what is the perspective that you're going to have. Of course, if you're going to be like sad and be like, oh, I can't go out, all these things, yes, you're going to get down, but you need to start thinking about what perspective do you want. And I think that if you have a positive perspective, a positive mentality, you can do so many things. And right now, like, I downloaded a Duolingo app. um, this is not an advertisement, but I started learning Italian just for the fun of it, and I've been consistent with like a month, and I feel like I'm getting better at Italian. I've been playing video games, I've been exercising, I've been just like cooking a lot more. So it's been about what to do. So I think my words of encouragement would be like that. Just try to stay positive and find things that you wouldn't normally be able to do.